What is going on, everybody? Boilon back for another video here on Marvel Strike Force. What a day Wednesday has been. If you haven't had a chance to check out my video on the Odin kit, I released that this morning. Apparently, there's also been some details of officially the Orchis team that's coming very soon around the corner alongside Odin as well. And if you want to know about the reworks that, well, I did predict some of these a little bit ago, but it seems that I am right. Lady Deathstrike and Scientist Supreme, as well as the upcoming Orchis team, Sentinel, Omega Sentinel, and Nimrod. If you want to know about their kits, then here in this video we'll be talking about it. So if you're ready to go, let's boil this down. Okay, so here is the Orchis team. And, this is the, obviously, right, this is the next raid team, the tech raid team that's going to be coming out on the back of Thanos Endgame. And honestly, with Thanos coming out on Friday, that means that I think Nimrod could be the first character, or Nimrod or Sentinel is going to be the first character. I think it's Sentinel, actually. And that's going to be probably the first week of September. Now, I have some really large concerns that I want to raise here at the beginning of the video because this has to do with the release cadence and things like that. So if people haven't been keeping up to date or checking out my other videos, that Gladiator hasn't had his free-to-play event, and I don't think he's going to have his free-to-play event before Pocket Dimension, which requires 3 Annihilators next week. Why am I talking about this in an Orchis video? Because I'm really concerned about what it's going to be like for these characters and how long it's going to be until free-to-play release events come out for all 3 of the new characters to get this team online. Like, we could be rolling into Night Stalkers, honestly, before these teams, well into that they're out, right? And so, if Sentinel or Nimrod has an offer and Gladiator does not have his free-to-play event, I'm going to be very concerned about what this means for this team here that we're talking about. So, subject to change and all that stuff, but I don't know. I'm not super positive about the free-to-play and the event side of things and the shards and all that stuff. Might end up getting like more orbs, just like we did for the Illuminati and Annihilators. That's going to be for Orchis. Anyways, I digress a little bit. Let's start with the reworks, though. I'm going to start at the bottom here with Lady Deathstrike updates first, rather than with the new characters. So there's a pretty sizable boost. There was not, however, a big change to her to her kit, rather. So we get about 100% increased stats across the board. Base stats, by the way, which is going to be multiplied and all of that through all of the other means, Stark Tech, Red Stars, Diamonds, and all of that across the board. So even though it's only about 100%, it's gonna, multiply later on as well. So we'll see what the end stats are gonna look like, though, when the patch goes live and when that gets flipped. I mean, we're probably gonna see an increase of like 1.3 million to probably about 4 million, like around the top end at level 100. So I think that even though it says 100%, it's going to be more than a doubling. So once all the additional stats are kind of added in and multiplied in there as well. So it says old and new, but realistically, the only thing that changed, this is her, if I'm not mistaken, that's her special, Deadly Weapon. Yeah, so Deadly Weapon is her special. Basic is unchanged. It does the repeat attack. You do not no longer have to kill a target in order to repeat the attack. But the rest of it is still the same. Sorry, now this is positive. No, it's all the same, actually, in fact. It was only this line in the middle, so I don't know why it's bolded up here for all this other stuff, because I read through it, and it's the exact same stuff. It's just this middle section here, where now it repeats without having to kill a character. So that's okay, I guess. I don't think her kit was terrible, super terrible. I think her stats were obviously outdated, though. And her ultimate, same thing, is that the new version of the ultimate, this part down here, this does not contain Orchis allies in there for the clearing of negative effects and apply immunity to self and all that. So I don't know if that's supposed to include Orchis or if that's intentionally left out. However, this was added in where if this character has 3 or more Orchis allies, it cannot be countered. But the rest of it is the same. The damage numbers are the same, actually, 280 piercing, the bleeds and all that's the same. So really not sure. There's very little that was changed, actually, in fact, with Lady Deathstrike, which is very disappointing. Unless there's something in here that's like, maybe there's an error. That's possible. I hope, maybe some of this stuff might include Orchis. That would be nice. But otherwise, there's not much there other than the stat reworks, to be honest. But Scientist Supreme did receive quite a bit. Not only is it well above 100% in all base stats, her speed was increased from 97 to 118, which is huge, right? This is pretty big. Her field trials. This is her. Oh, I'm sorry. Her basic is now unavoidable, and now it guarantees offense down, defense down, and slow. Previously, when they said random negative effects, that's actually what this was: offense down, defense down, and slow. That was it as part of the old text. Now I guess they're more specific about this. Her special flips all negative effects into positive effects on all allies. I believe that was pretty much the same as well, more or less. For this character and all AIM and Orchis allies, regen and immunity for a turn, and then increase the duration of all positive effects by 1. This is nice. I mean, that's old, but still nice that they added the Orchis allies. And the healing is 15% of this character's max health, which this is added, I believe, as well. So it's a regen and max health. And she's going to have a lot of health. Like, the base stats are quite sizable. And so I think that you will see that it'll be quite nice for her when it goes live. And we're in this new era of base stats, right? So I'm pretty excited to see what the reworks kind of look like. Even if the kits aren't severely changed like LDS, you know, I think, though, at the end of the day, she's still going to hit pretty hard. This is the new version of the ultimate. So heal self and all allies for 20% of this character's max health. In raids, heal for 30% instead. And they've kind of kept this still, which is basically the non-aim or Orchis allies. You know, it still debuffs. So if you're outside of Scientist Supreme's team, plural, it's still going to debuff them. However, in raids now, you're going to apply trauma to the enemies, which is nice. They kind of needed that, right? You need some. Everyone has a trauma skill in raids. Apply speed up for 2 turns to self and all Orchis allies. So this is going to be a turn 1 move. You're going to do this right off the bat. So they're going to have speed up. The rest of the team is going to have speed up, and she actually and this is unavoidable, which is amazing, and 500% extra focus. And she gets an insane amount of speed bar, fills speed bar by 50%. So she's pretty much guaranteed to go first, I think. And what's great about this is in any game mode. It's not even just in raids. So that's great. And it's independent, because before you required additional aim allies to get that speed bar. Now it's just flat 50%. On her turn, generate 2 ability energy for all aim and Orchis allies with a negative effect. So it's kind of, you're kind of, I guess, until you flip that on with their special, you know, you're going to get an extra bonus 2 ability energy. I guess if anyone has it, a negative effect, it's not even for each ally. I think it's just generate 2 for all if anyone has it. Or maybe it's that specific one. I'm not sure. But it's on turn, which is any character's turn. So it's like almost you're going to be spamming abilities, I think, for the most part. A 25% chance to revive an ally with 30% max health, so it would be just any allies. On ally summon, which is a lot of the main characters, that's what they do. Generate 1 ability energy for all Orchis allies. The Sentinel is going to have a crap ton of summons, you'll see. And then in raids, on spawn, generate. So this is pretty common, right? To make sure that everyone has their ability energy just filled up by the start of the match. So 3 ability energy for self, 3 special ability energy. They specify that for all Orchis allies. And then this character and all Orchis allies cannot gain trauma, and mutant and bio enemies cannot gain immunity. You know that they're going to make this as an enemy character. You're going to be fighting Orchis characters in the future. Like the next mutant section, I swear in the next raid, they're going to have Orchis as an enemy, and then you're going to get screwed, and they're going to sell you the solution. It's exactly what they're going to do. So let's talk about the new characters. First, we need to talk about Sentinel. Now, he's the protector of the team, but he also is self-replicating. So there's multiple versions of the Sentinels that he summons. He basically summons additional copies and their minions, but they do different things. So it's pretty interesting. He is villain global tech protector Orchis, speed of 107. He's slow, it's fine, whatever. He's a robot. Sentinel Blast, 270% damage on apply offense down, and then counter to self and all Orchis allies. Neutralize target, 4 out of 4 on his special. Summon a random Sentinel reinforcement ally. It's down below the stats of the various different versions of them. Attack primary target for 250. Bonus attack 3 times for 100% damage, and apply defense up for 2 turns and 2 deflect to self and all Orchis allies. Basically, these characters are going to work in raids. Possible summons. There's a gun version, a sword version. There's 3, I think, in fact. I forget down below once we get there. Gun, sword, and something else, I think. Ultimate Elimination Protocol. Again, cooldown of 4. They have very low cooldowns. Summon 1 Sentinel Reinforcement, gun ally, and one sword ally as well. 300% damage plus apply offense down, and 50% per Sentinel Reinforcement ally. So the more Sentinels that are out, the more this does, and it's unavoidable. Okay, I actually, Yeah, we'll get through the passive, and then you'll see them down below here. So on spawn and on revive, because of Scientist Supreme, summon one Sentinel reinforcement ally. Possible summons. Oh, maybe it's just the gun and sword. I thought there was 3 of them actually. Gun and sword, and then on this character's first turn, so on spawn, basically, or when he takes his turn. On this character, yeah. So when he takes his first turn, gain taunt and apply safeguard for 2 turns to self and all Orchis allies. Now, what's interesting about this, I suppose, is that it's not on spawn. It's when he takes his first turn. But I think that Scientist Supreme is going to go first, going to speed up the entire team with the buff or with the negative status effect buff, the ultimate. And so that should be relatively quickly. This may be to avoid characters that remove safeguard on spawn. I believe there's an apocalypse in the Orchis raid tech section, so this might be why. Gain taunt and all this stuff after the fact. In raids, if this character has 4 or more Orchis allies, enemies cannot gain death proof. Sentinel gun, so they have their own different kits. Like I don't want to. They're kind of like the Ultron bots. Like so, in raids, the basic does like 10% reduced speed bar on primary and adjacent targets. It's kind of interesting. The Ultron bot did 20% to primary target, I think, on that one. And then they do different things here, I suppose. On spawn, flip all negative effects for self and all Orchis allies on the mutant. Their passive there on the gun version. So when they get summoned. More ability energy, like there's a lot here, really realistically, but there's going to be a lot of these. I thought there was more than 2, but I guess not. Maybe it's just the 2 versions of them. Anyways, it's just more damage. I think the sword is the damage version. The gun's kind of like a supporty kind of version. But I do like, and you can pause it because it's all just going to be, they're going to win in raids. Let's be honest, they're going to win in raids. My biggest concern, I guess, would be that if you're using them outside of raids, is the ability of Kestrel to counter this at all. I don't know because, I don't have a chance to play this on the test server, that kind of thing. So I'll have to see how it plays out. And then Nimrod, we have Villain Global Tech Blaster. So if you're worried about Dark Dimension 8 in their classes, we have Protector, Blaster, and Omega Sentinel is actually a support character. So there's 2 support characters on this team. The basic, though, is Hunter Beam. 280% damage and applying defense down for 2 turns, unavoidable. A lot of his attacks are, in fact, unavoidable, which is really good, especially for those characters. Extreme X-Men are going to get crushed in PvP with Nimrod. I think attack all enemies. This is an AoE attack for 3 energy. All enemies for 300% piercing, plus flip all positive effects to negative effects on each target. This attack gains 25% piercing per Sentinel reinforcement ally. So again, more damage per Sentinel. That is really going to stack up because with a full team, you could have up to 5 minions, I suppose, for a full slate of 10 characters. So that's a lot of additional damage. And then apply ability block AoE to the primary target. I thought it was to everyone. No, it's just the primary target. My bad. And then in raids, apply stun to the primary target, and in raids as well, apply ability block to all mutant targets. This attack cannot be dodged. I think the speed up mechanic on Scientist Supreme is designed to counter turn bar, like North Star. I think so. We'll have to see how that ends up playing out when the team goes. It's gonna be a while until the full team is actually out, but we would assume that it does work at some point. Ultimate Eradicate is 3 out of 5, so it's going to be a turn 2 ability. Probably attack primary and adjacent targets for 400% damage. Defense down for 2 turns. Disrupt for 2 turns. In raids, it's guaranteed crit to mutants, and it's unavoidable. So it's not full AoE, but it's going to hit a lot of targets. And then it's pretty simple, actually. It's a very simple kit. Passive Sentient Sentinel on kill gains stealth, and then when he's stealth, he gains a lot of extra damage. 30% damage and 30% crit. Gain 10% speed for each summon tech ally up to 50%, because if everyone's alive, you can only have 5 summon minions, so he's going to be going pretty quickly, and that part is outside of raids, which is good. In raids, the allies get it as well for those summon tech allies up to a max of 50%. So outside of the raids, it's just Nimrod. Inside of the raids, it's the entire team. I would also imagine it applies to including the minions as well, because I think that they're tagged Orchis. Let me just double check on that one. If it matters much, do they have a tag? Yeah, they are. Okay, so they have the Orchis tag. I would assume so. I just wanted to double check. So Nimrod, pretty good there. And then some more in raids kind of stuff there. If this character is 4 or more Orchis allies, lower the dodge chance of all enemies by 100%. So you might have come across this if you're playing the tech nodes right now, that there's like kitty prides and things like that. So they dodge, they have their own like innate dodge chance. Well, not with Nimrod, so that's not happening. And then finally, our last character, we have Omega Sentinel, Villain Global Tech Support Orchis. Basic Omega Beatdown, 240% damage plus rebound chain to 3 adjacent targets for 180. Apply regen for 2 turns to self and the team. In raids, it does more damage, and counterattacks can break this chain, but it's unavoidable. Nothing super crazy there. Special Cyborg Assault, 3 out of 3, so available on turn... Well, actually, it seems like both skills are on turn 1. Attack primary target for 350, and then apply more regen to the team. Apply defense up and speed up to self and tech allies, so it's not just Orchis. Might be some theory crafting potential there, I'm not sure. In raids, apply defense up for 2 turns, speed up for 2 turns, offense up for 2 turns to self and all Orchis allies. And then healing for the team for 15%. Sorry, all allies. So this is available outside the team. And then Orchis allies get an additional 10. I think this is the same as like Peter B. Parker, who did heal to the team, but did more to Spider Society or Hero Spider-Verse, something like that. So more healing. I don't know why they need 2 support characters on this team, but it's going to be like huge overhealing. Ultimate Nano Blast, 5 out of 5, AoE for 170% piercing, and then bonus attack again for 170. So it's like 340. This is good for like pinging death proofs, I guess, if that's there. Or whatever, even though I believe they block it on one of the other characters. But anyways, like multiple pings will just kind of like hit through death proofs and things like that. Apply stun for 2 turns to 2 random tech enemies. And then in raids, applying stun for 2 turns to all tech enemies. Again, I'm not sure. We talked about this in my Discord. On node 1 of the Orchis raid tech, there are tech characters there, but there isn't really on the other one. So I'm not sure what this is designed for exactly, or it's future proofing for maybe Orchis 2 or something. Who knows? Heal self and all allies for 15% and more healing, and then more healing, of course, if they're Orchis allies, so 30% if they're Orchis, and it's unavoidable. Lots of unavoidable attacks on this team. And then passive Living Sentinel on turn, and each summon tech ally's turn heal self and each Orchis ally for 10% of this character's max health. And this part's interesting. So why the overhealing matters, I suppose. If that ally's health is full, instead barrier that ally for 10%. So you want to overheal them because then they're going to get barrier on their turn instead, I suppose. On mutant enemy turn end, this is very specific. On mutant enemy turn end, attack the most injured enemy for 100% damage. In raids, 300%. So pinging mutants in actually in mutants in general, but in raids it just does a crap ton more. On death, 30% chance to revive. That's fine. That's not a lot though, but I guess it's just a small fail safe. Otherwise, Scientist Supreme could have a chance to bring them back. In raids, if this character has 4 or more Orchis allies, which is the entire team, and actually, you know what? It might not be, because once you have the summons, actually, they might start stacking up. So I thought originally it'd be the full team, but now after thinking about it, the Sentinel allies actually the minions would count too at some point. Enemy characters cannot gain defense up, so this wouldn't be like an on-spawn thing necessarily. But yeah, it could be. If this character does not have ability block, this character and all Orchis allies cannot gain slow. So that's good too. In raids, for each summon tech ally, gain 35. Okay, here we go. For 35% revive chance. So as long as there's 2 minions out, then she has a guaranteed chance to revive. So you want to kind of, I guess, have a bigger Sentinel, because a bigger Sentinel will mean bigger stats on the minions, and therefore they'll probably survive longer. And if shit does hit the fan randomly, then Omega Sentinel will come back guaranteed. So that's good to know. And then lowering max barrier of all enemies by 20% in raids, it would seem. So there we are with all 3 of the new characters, and unfortunately the lackluster-ish Lady Deathstrike rework, but Scientist Supreme had a pretty decent one, and their stats should all be pretty good, I think, after the patch goes live. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Today's been a really big day. Hopefully you get a chance to watch both this one and the Odin video from before, but otherwise, have a great rest of your day, everyone, and tomorrow we are going to have Should You Core Thanos Edition is going to be going live tomorrow morning. So that's it for now, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Boilon signing out.